got to set it on it. This thing is stone cold.
It's more than stone cold.
Yeah, it's more than stone cold. Don't blow out, don't blow out. And actually what Roger said about this was that it's the moisture in it that you can see the mark on it when I heat it up. It's because it's spongy. It absorbs the moisture.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to heat that up because I'm going to lay stuff on it. So I'm going to want to work with a nice bushy flame, a wide bushy flame. Okay. Which end's rounded? This end's rounded. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to heat about just like an inch and a half back from the tip. So I've got my finger like right next to the flame. And when it gets soft, I'm going to kind of bend it over and up like that. Then I'm going to do this ridiculous thing and look like a freaking idiot. Do not laugh at me. I'll kill you. It works.
You're just getting a nice round end.
Yeah. Well, they have, jewelry helpers. So that's a lamp working helper.
Yeah, it's a jig.
I just needed a third hand. If I had, a jig would have been better, but
No, that you're using that as jig.
Then, okay, now the way I was taught to do this by Kevin Beecher, High Mountain Glass, he actually made a U and then bent the two U's together. But then he would always have this extra piece of glass that he kept picking off and throwing away, which of course I can't do. I can't waste glass. So instead what I do is I make a J and then fold it over because I can't waste the glass. And here's why I try and leave my ends nice and round up my ends, because you want your ends to be nice and round, not gathered, but nice and round.
Wow.
Okay, then what I do, because you have to keep rotating rods, I put the hot one furthest away from me because I'm going to be picking these up to make other loops, because you're going to have to keep going back to it, so you have to keep track of which one's the hot one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So come up with the system and put the hot one away from you. And rotate. You can do it with two rods and alternate, but you have to let it cool because you're going to have to pick it up and hold that tip in a few minutes. So I'm just going to kind of bend it over. You can coax it a little bit with the tweezers. Sometimes I'll come in here with the bent thingy and kind of make sure that they're really attached good, but you don't have to do that. Then I'm just going to put the heat right where that seam is and let it flow together, using gravity and such. Then after it's flowed together, it's not quite even, then I'm going to heat the whole thing and then straighten it up. There, so I have my first loop, so I can set that down. The second one is the hardest. Don't pick that one up, Julie. It's the hot one. So I'm going to have to do that again.
This really is all finesse. Completely.
But you want to heat an area wider than the flame, because your bend needs to be, your loop needs to be, right words for it, Julie. Your loop needs to be wide enough so you have play when you join them together. Like, what do you call it in chainmail with the ratio?
So it has to be wider than the diameter of the rod.
Yes, exactly. Or it's going to bind up and not move freely.
Right.
And you can see it potentially is very easy to burn yourself doing this.
Next thing you know, she's going to have that wired around her neck.
If I were smart, I'd just figure out a way to clamp it.
No.
No.
And if after a while you get pretty good at judging the lengths, although if I'm talking, this one might be a little bit too small. You could start judging it if you think where you burn it off, whether you left one end long enough or to kind of compensate. Okay, rotating, that's the hot one. That's why I just wanted to say I think this has fairly high risk of burning yourself if you start going too fast and not paying attention. And these can also pop off the punty. Don't work over your lap. Okay, so here's the trick, and you only need to do this with the second one. You have to bend it, because if I put that in there, I can't hold both punties with one hand. But if I take this punty and bend it at about that angle,
Okay, 30 degrees.
when I put it in here. Nope, I didn't quite bend it. Maybe a little bit more. You could put it in the other. See, this is where I said I think there's you have a high risk of like burning yourself. Because you end up focusing on this, you're not paying any attention to the flame. Oh, I flattened that too much. It got hot and I mushed it because I was rushing.
I think the reamer is a key element of this process.
Actually, Julie, wasn't there a guy who did it on torch top, and
He used a glass rod.
He used a
How
glass
he got
rod.
away with that, I have no idea. And then you just dingle it in there to fire polish off your punty mark.
You make that look easy.
Yeah.
Did you see what I did all weekend? I had it all.
I know, my gosh.
If you do
It
enough.
looks so consistent. And
So again, the Julie rule, make 50 links and you'll have one that's
exactly,
actually right.
yeah.
I did go back. One of them I didn't like it and actually burned it off and switched it out. Okay, so
Hot
these
one.
are.
Hot one.
That's my punty.
Oh, okay.
If you're not sure, you can slide up it. Don't just grab it. And start with clear, and the thinner is easy. Less than 6. Regular standard rods are 6 millimeters, and I think it's way too chunky.
4.
Yeah, the
4 millimeters better.
is nice to work with.
Yeah.
Hey, where did you find that reamer?
Probably whale. I actually brought some of the things that Tracy got from the welding shop. Those, what did you call that thing?
So in welding, you have like in sewing, you have a chalk thing, to mark.
Right.
Right. Well, in welding, they have a welding marking pencil, and the chalk.
No,
comes,
not the chalk thingy. The
No?
other thingy. Here,
What other thing?
hot one.
I thought you were talking about the.
Reach in there. There's something sticking out. Those things that are sticking up.
Oh, those. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do have those. There's actually graphite underneath those, underneath that copper, and all you got to do is sharpen it like a pencil. See the other end?
Yeah.
See the other end? You
Yeah.
sharpen it in the pencil sharpener, and you just created what she's got.
Cool.
What are those sold as?
There's some to do with welding.
I did look at them. I don't know that you necessarily want to put that in your mouth.
No, you probably don't want to put it in your mouth, but
No, I'm gonna get
I
one
felt
of
it to check because I'm like, I
But
just
it's
found
the
that my
same-
mouth was doing.
but it makes a nice reamer. All you got to do is sharpen it in a pencil sharpener.
Yeah.
And you really just want to keep your heat right on that seam. Just melt the glass you want to move. Then once you melt it together, don't use your reamer. Then heat the whole thing up.
Oh yeah, I've got to have that reamer.
And I just kind of, and then now I'm trying to which one's which.
And then you always snap off your earlier one and keep your latest.
No, I keep the closed loop on it.
Let it drop. There we go.
I keep the closed loop on it.
So you keep the original one.
No, yeah, the original one's still on the punty.
Okay.
I'm just adding to the closed loop that I started with.
But you keep the original punty, not keep
Yes,
the
I keep
latest
the original punty, yes.
So you go sequential, not back and
Yes,
forth.
exactly, exactly. Yes, yes.
All right.
Wow. That was so cool.
So I do one more.
beautiful.
I was really pleased with the unobtainium one over there. That was the dark blue one that was kind of sparkly because I pulled that stringer.
Neat.
The white one I have over there, that's an ugly white gray. It's an Egyptian white sand odd lot that I got, and it boils like crazy. And when I bought it, they were really skinny rods. I don't like the color, but I couldn't use it for anything else.
You can actually get some colors, not all of them, but you can get some of them in 4mm.
Anybody else want to read these?
I would have to check with Mountain
I saw it.
to see Mountain or ABR because they don't carry the same ones and not all the time. If you are interested in different colors in 4mm,
I mean, you can do it out of stringer. It's just it's
got to be
some-
consistent with your,
some
your
glass
thickness.
some
though.
glass will pull easier than others, and I picked the unobtainium, well, A, because I had a ton of it because I bought a pound of it as an odd lot, and it cracks, so I don't really, if you use it like in case you can't encase it in clear, it'll crack. So I had a lot of it. I had a really thick rod, but I was able, because it's very stiff. For some reason, the stiffer glass, it's easier for me to pull a consistent size stringer out of than it is the softer glass. The soft glass tends to get away from me when I make when I try and pull stringers, more so than a stiff glass.
I've had good luck encasing super unobtainium in Cymax rod. Haven't really got it to be compatible with any other kind of rod,
Yeah.
so I coat it in clear and pull it into stringer and only use it in that one application.
It's such a pretty color, though, you
Yeah.
know?
And you can pull it really thin, and it'll still hold up and it's pretty.